welcome back.
Welcome back.
Week before 4th of July.
There we go.
Oh.
Nice. We love the summer, don't we?
We do. It's so beautiful here in Colorado.
Yes, welcome.
People actually move here to Colorado for the summers, not the winters.
No kidding.
Yeah,
no
it's
kidding.
amazing.
So welcome to Love and Money Live. We are so glad to be with you. Very exciting topic today. We're excited to talk about it. However, before we forget, we just got confirmation that we are doing a magnificent marriage conference at New Life Church. Now, it's quite a ways away, but we wanted you to get it on your calendar, especially if you're in Colorado Springs.
Absolutely.
We're going to have limited space, but magnificent marriage. And it's going to be on February 9th.
The weekend before Valentine's Day. Did that on purpose.
Great time to bring your love and your money
I'll be
together.
wearing pink again in honor of Valentine's Day.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really excited about it. So put it on your calendar. We're going to have limited spots. Only 125 couples are going to be in. We want it to just be real special. So really excited about it. Thumbs up. We love to see hearts and thumbs up across the screen.
And thank you, New
give
Life
us your
Church,
love. Yes.
for letting us host it there. It's awesome.
Absolutely. So we're super pumped. All right. So this is a really important topic. And if you're joining us after the live, please feel free to comment in. We will
Love
respond.
stories,
Absolutely. We love stories. This is a super important topic. Money can get in the way of friendships.
Yeah.
Okay.
See it all the time.
Now, sometimes people think of money getting in the way of friendships as just like if you give a loan to somebody and all that. But actually, there's other ways that it can get in the middle of friendships too. Scott, would you like to share?
Yeah, I have
story?
a friend of mine, still a friend of mine, and he would be what you might call, some people would call cheap, but
we like to call saver security seeker.
Right, but other people would call him cheap, but
Right.
I would say saver security seeker. But, you know, he was that guy that, like, never showed up with his wallet. Like, everybody would be going out to dinner after a movie or something, the guys, and he wouldn't have his wallet, so somebody would end up paying.
Mysteriously.
Yeah, mysteriously
I forgot it.
Forget it. Or I remember one time in a restaurant, he actually haggled the price down on an entree, which I didn't even know you could do.
Yeah.
Because he was having something removed that was a pretty significant part of the entree. He asked if the waiter would reduce the price by a couple bucks, which the waiter did, which I still to this day can't believe. But anyways,
you saver security seekers out there are going,
you're
yeah,
kind of like, yeah, you idiot. I do that all the time. It was just very foreign to me. I'm not judging here. I'm just saying it was different. But it was interesting because I noticed I kind of started building up a little bit of a wall when it came to money, because I was always worried that I was going to be in a situation where I would get embarrassed. Like when he was haggling with the waitress, I don't know why, it wasn't my deal, but I would always kind of be embarrassed or whatever. And I would just notice this person would negotiate on everything. I mean, everything from food to hotel rooms to just all sorts of stuff. And so it just kind of put me in a weird spot. And I noticed that I kind of definitely built a wall up because this person was, oh, hey, Connie, just spent time with Connie Reville. We were getting together some Titan Club information. But anyways, I noticed that it started putting this really interesting wall between this friend and mine, because I was always on the defensive when it came to money. I was like, oh man, he's going to forget his wallet. Or, oh, it's going to be awkward in this restaurant because he's getting a chicken, not a salmon, he's going to try to change the price on him. I mean, crazy stuff like that.
Oh, one time I remember a story where he would always be bringing in coffee into the restaurant.
Yeah.
His own coffee.
Yeah, and some people do that because he didn't want to purchase coffee at the restaurant. But those things just made me really uncomfortable. Now, at the time, I didn't know how to talk about that. And some of you are saying, I always bring coffee into a restaurant. But for me, it built a wedge between our relationships. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about, you know, what happens when you have a friend that has really different spending habits than you do, or wants to borrow money. What are some of the things that you need to watch for to make sure that you don't have that friendship owned? Because a lot of friendships end over money. It's
right,
just the reality.
They do. So when we were talking about this before we came on, we were saying a lot of times people think of money ruining a friendship is just the loan side. And we're going to talk about that, you know, how to do that. But it can be those little amounts of money that maybe you just chip in and they never pay you back. They say they're going to pay you back and they don't. It can be the things where your money differences are so different that you are just like, it just makes you feel uncomfortable being around them. Now, I just want to do a shout out to people that maybe are like that, not realizing the impact that it could be in a relationship. Oftentimes people who are in that saver, security seeker world can actually make other people who aren't feel really uncomfortable, and it can put a wedge inside of your relationship. Absolutely. And so really being cognizant of your money habits and how they can be impacting other people, and then again, how they can be impacting other relationships. Here's some really interesting statistics.
Yeah, this was an interesting statistic. This came from Bank of America, and it said that more than half of consumers have seen friendships end over money owed.
Over half.
Half. That's crazy.
Has seen a friendship end. That's
I know I saw my dad and his best friend were in business together, and it ended terribly, and it ended that friendship. So I've seen it. 43% of Americans would be willing to end a relationship with a friend who hasn't paid them back.
Have you not paid a friend back? Are you teaching your children to make sure to pay them back? It's really interesting. One of our kids, Cade, was just like, just kind of happened to be talking to Cole, and I heard it. And anyway, bottom line is, he had, borrowed a couple dollars for a drink at school.
I think it was like $10 for
a $10?
It was a good chunk of money in my opinion.
And he goes, oh, I need to pay him back. And I'm thinking, yeah.
And we jumped on that one right away.
Jumped on it. We were just like, honey, if you borrow money from someone, you have to pay them back. It can really end the friendship. That person could be mad at you and you don't even know it. And in your mind, because you don't have that saver mentality, to you it's like, well, why would he be mad? But he could and be really upset about it. Mm-hmm. So, also we have some situation that happened that we heard of recently where this guy gave a present to his friend, and he said, hey, and he was on that cheap saver security seeker side, but he said, hey, I'd appreciate the same gift back. Well, that really hurt that person. I mean, on one hand, it's funny, but it's like, that gives you an opinion of a person.
Yeah.
How they handle their money gives you an opinion.
Absolutely. And so you just need to be really aware that people are really, really sensitive to the fact that if you're borrowing money or lending money or giving money, and it can even be like, I've got one friend of mine, and we are just super hyper about who pays for what. So like, I'll pay for lunch one time, he'll pay for the next. And we keep a really close tab on that because he had mentioned that's a sensitive spot for him, that, sometimes people just assume you're going to pay for their meal every time. And I was like, hey, let's just go 50-50 all the time. Split checks if that's what's better for your friendship. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're talking about it with your buddies. And that, I love buying people lunches.
Yeah.
I love,
yeah.
I like to spend money like that, but I don't want to put them in an awkward position either where they're like, oh man, Scott's going to try to pay again. So making sure that you're talking about that with your friends is super huge important because it's just flat out not worth it.
Yep. So we have some tips as to how to, on the loan side, how to get out of that. Also what to do about some situations when it comes to money and friends. And first of all, we really want to stress how important it is, especially if you have a really close friend, really knowing what their approach to money is. We have this money personality assessment online, free, and you can know your primary and your secondary money personality. If you have a really close friend, it's really important to know what they are. So that could explain some things to you and help you maybe be a little bit more patient. But here's the thing. If you go into a situation with a friend with money, and we just worded this, know before you go. So in other words, really know that person, how they treat money, how they treat their responsibilities, how they treat commitments before you go into it, okay? I love this saying. People will tell you who they are by their actions. Believe them the first time. It's like, oh, well, they didn't pay them back. They'll pay me back because I'm more of a friend. That kind of thing. Don't do that. If they have not paid other responsibilities back,
don't assume they're going to have a breakthrough with you.
And no, you're nothing special.
Yeah,
I hate to break it to you, but you're nothing special.
Yeah.
So just really know before you go into it. Know that person. And if that person has the tendency to not stick with their commitments in other areas of their life, they're not going to do it to you too. Don't even offer. don't even offer. That's probably the best advice we have. Don't even offer if you know that it could be an absolutely huge mistake. Now, if you have a spouse and you want to actually give money to them before they, they need to borrow money or whatever, make sure that you agree with your spouse.
Absolutely.
Super important.
Absolutely.
Super duper important. All right, point number 2, set boundaries up. Set boundaries up. Before you go into, do you need to leave for a second?
Give me 1 second.
All right, I'm going to, I dropped you. Sorry about that. Really know and understand the boundaries before you go into that commitment. Super duper important. If you don't set them, talk about it before, you really could get into a mess with your friendship. So talk about it before. Say, you know what, I just want to make sure that our friendship is touted as more important than anything else. Thanks for joining us back, Steve.
Can I just tell a funny story?
Yeah.
So we lock our door because we don't want people coming into our office.
When we're doing this.
You'd think that was pretty obvious. There's this poor FedEx guy banging on our door, waving at me to come get a package for me to sign.
Oh no, he was doing a red
right, the pointer thing. And I went there and it was the wrong office.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's crazy.
The guy's having a rough day.
He's having a rough day.
Sorry,
all right. So first, know before you go. Second, set boundaries before.
Absolutely.
Third, we have some incredible technology out there now that can really, really help. So making payments between family members, between friends. Zella, Z-E-L-L-A. I know my bank does that, has that. We love it. As a matter of fact, we're setting that up for a situation that we have, so we're excited about that. Venmo, excellent way. So if they are not committed, if they are not okay with paying you back through an app or something because they don't think they'll be able to or whatever, maybe you shouldn't borrow it. Let them borrow it.
Yeah, and I want to say one thing too about this, and it's regards into if you're married, talking about what your couple policy is on what your couple policy is for lending other people money. So like Bethany would never lend her friends money without telling me, and I would never lend money without telling Bethany. Come up with an agreement. The reality is you might come across 1 or 2 people in your life that ask you to borrow money all the time, especially if you're well off or you're doing really well with your business. You know, hey, I've got another business opportunity for you. And sometimes people can even put pressure on you to lend them money. But come up with your excuse beforehand. You know, we found in my experience that we don't lend friends money because it ends friendships. My wife and I agreed that, our lending policy to friends is X. So just make sure that you're on the same page. And it is okay to say no, even with a great friend. And it's also okay to say yes. But you just have to kind of have that predetermined before.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, to talk about it with your spouse, because maybe your spouse knows something about that friend that you're kind of blind to. You know what I mean? It's like you can be blind to your friends, and so they may be able to point something out. But always, always say, you know what, before I say anything to this, I really need to talk to my husband, spouse, whatever. All right.
Absolutely.
So number 3, know before you go. Number 1, know before you go. Number 2, making sure you set boundaries. Number 3, making sure that you, if you can, use an automated system to be able to pay you back. So that way it's just automatically happens, like a Zella or Venmo. Don't let it linger if you're mad. Do not let it linger if you're mad.
When we let that stuff stew in us, when we, I'll just admit this. There was this guy that I barely knew, and he worked at an organization. I was literally running through the hall, and I didn't really know him very well. And he was like, dude, I'm late for this lunch. Can I borrow $40? At the time, I was broke. But what am I supposed to say? I mean, it was kind of this weird. I said, yeah, I'll be back here tomorrow. Just come pay me back. And I gave him this $40 and Puff the Magic Dragon. The guy never talked to me again. And I thought it was so weird in that situation. What I should have done was just gone over to his desk the next day and said, can I get that 40 spot back that I gave you? But you know what? I let it linger. And then I let it linger so long, there's no way for me to go and get back that money. And I recently saw this guy, and the sad thing is, that's the first thing that, $40, I mean, really, I'm not kidding you, this was probably 22 years ago. But the first thing I saw when I saw this guy was that's the dude that never paid me back that $40 for lunch. He probably doesn't even remember. It's probably not even on his radar screen. But if you do give somebody money and you expect to get paid back on it, don't let it stew. Don't let it linger. Point number 4, just go back and get paid back.
Learn from Scott's mistake.
Yeah, $40. I was like, I'm such an idiot. I'm so shallow that would still bug me. But it did. Just being vulnerable here.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with that, honey. All right, and last but not least, if it's been a long time, I'll talk to you, Scott.
Yes.
Just forget it.
Forget it. That's what I did. I forget it. And I actually...
Just let go.
I was actually like, okay, I'm sorry, Lord, but that was like my, that was my first thought after not seeing this guy for 20 years. Where's my $40? But the reality is you do have to forget it. You have to let go, and you just have to say, you know what? Whatever, if you're okay doing that.
Yep. Okay, so know before you go. Set boundaries. Use an app if you can. Don't let it linger. And last but not least, forget
about it.
And consider it a gift. And we give to charity, so at that point, just consider it a gift.
Yeah, it was just a blessing.
Bless the person. So we hope that that's helpful. We'd love to hear from you. Do you have any experiences that you've seen out there, that are just like, oh my gosh, or you want help or insight with? We'd love to hear. But we're so glad to be with you. We're going to be back with you next week at Love and Money Live.
But we won't be doing it on Wednesday because that's 4th of July.
That's true. It's 4th of July, so happy.
So we'll probably do it on Friday.
Absolutely. And it's just so great to be with you. We're
great
so
for
excited.
Being here. You're an awesome
Saving
community.
relationships. Don't let money get in the middle of your relationships. It's not worth it. There are tools and there are ways to do it. Visit us on Facebook. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We also have a new YouTube channel coming up here, and that's getting organized right now. Start checking it out. And don't forget, February 9th, if you're in Colorado Springs.
Love to have you.
Love to have you at our Magnificent Marriage Conference. Again, February 9th, 2019, from 9 to 12:30. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Be blessed. And as always, make it happen.